And welcome to another edition of Weather and Climate Chat with Monsoon Mike and Dr. Michael Davis. Back to our normal Monday, so you get a bonus having us 2 times in just a few days. How are you, Dr. Davis?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good, very good. All right. Well, weather's the same as last I left you, and probably will be the same for still a few more days. Our Omega blocking high has been locked in. Looks like we start to break it down a little bit today, but still, we don't see any end to the sunshine and any chances of showers probably till about Friday, right, Dr. Davis?
Yeah, we pretty much hit the pause button over the weekend. And
Okay.
Just kept this weather just going on that status quo for most of the weekend. There was a slight chance that we saw last week
Of a shower,
tonight into Tuesday.
And I think
that's pretty much washed out.
Yeah, I think there's still, depending on where you're listening to us from, if we have any fans north of here, I think there's still the best chance of anything maybe is Scranton area, like up near Binghamton, possibly.
On my way over, I did see some cirrus in the sky, so that could indicate that there's some type of atmospheric disturbance coming our way.
Okay.
At least the very early elements of it, but right now with the high pressure pretty much locked in place and pretty much sitting on more or less dry atmosphere, there's not much that's really going to be produced.
We're recording this at 1:15 in the afternoon, and I'm looking west. I don't even see any cirrus now.
They're few and far between. But
now last night I said the same thing to my wife. We were coming home from some weekend events here at Kutztown, and we were driving west toward our house in Schuylkill County, and there was some cirrus in the sky, and I joked with her. I'm like, that's the first clouds I've seen since about Tuesday afternoon. Mm-hmm. So I said that might indicate the slight chance of something happening tomorrow, but now I don't know. But like I said, mainly to our north, if there's anything, 10% chance, 5% chance?
If that. I think it's even
not
much even mentioned to be
not even
noted.
Not even worth mentioning. Yeah. I saw the National Weather Service kind of toyed with it. One day it was in as like a 20% chance, and the next day it was gone, and the next day it was in again, and the next day it was gone. So right now it's gone. There's no mention of a shower. So I think
but our best rain threat looks like
Friday, if we finally get into a slightly more active pattern as that high pressure finally breaks down a little bit. And I didn't see exactly what's going to be causing it. I think it's a warm front followed by a cool front. We should also mention these temperatures. I mean, today, currently, like I said, we're recording this at 1:15. I'll try to have this released to the public in a couple hours. 75 degrees being reported right now in Reading. So could flirt with 80 in some areas.
Yeah, I think we might see an 80 around here. It's definitely a good day for that. We have clear skies, a lot of sunshine.
I'm checking the other airports right now. Allentown right now is reporting 78. So Allentown already only 2 degrees off, and let's see what we got down in Philadelphia right now at 1:15. Philadelphia Airport reporting 77. So Allentown so far is the winner. 78, 77 in Philly, and 75 in Reading. So
so we very well could see an 80. We still have a couple hours of strong sun ahead of us.
So
it's not completely out of the question.
Now, it does cool down a little bit. That's probably the only thing you're really going to notice the next couple of days from this cool front. Tomorrow, I think we're back to the 60s, it looks like, upper 60s.
Yeah, it looks like upper 60s and probably sticking around there for most of the week.
Yeah, Weather Service has tomorrow they're giving tomorrow 70. So, all right, we'll go with that. Wednesday, 65. This is Kutztown. Thursday, 69. And Friday, 70 when we get our showers. So it looks like after today's flirt with 80, for the rest of the week we flirt closer to 70, which is a little more normal for this time of year.
I saw in Allentown the average high temperature right now is 61.
Okay, so definitely,
we're still a little bit above average.
It's definitely still above average, and still a total 180 from just a week and a half ago when we were dealing with unseasonably cool weather. So, so Friday we have the chance of showers, and then weekend, the models were a little bit back and forth with how fast things clear up, but right now it looks like another nice weekend. A little cooler, though, a little cooler than this past weekend, about 66 each day for the weekend the National Weather Service has.
But the rain's out of the forecast.
Now, so it looks like a winning pattern continues. So those April showers are holding off for at least now.
Yeah, for the time being, and we're starting to get a taste of summer.
For this kind of pattern always does concern me, though. Whenever we have like weeks and weeks of nice weather, it does make me a little worried that we might get stuck into some. As my one weather buddy, I don't know if I ever used this term with you, likes to call it weather constipation, where things kind of get stuck, and we could have April 7 days of showers. You never know. So
yeah, and it also begs the question about what's the summer going to be like.
Yeah,
We're already seeing upper 70s
now,
near 80 in mid-late April. What does that bode for June, July, and
Well,
August?
I think you and I about a month ago predicted an above-average summer, and that kind of goes along with the Climate Prediction Center, and I think AccuWeather as well, too, all predicting above-average summer.
Yes, I'm thinking still above average.
So I guess the question will just be, how above average? Will this be a scorcher or just an average hot summer? We'll have to see. But definitely leaning toward the warmer side.
Yes, I would lean toward the warmer side as well.
Okay. Well, that's all we got to talk about weather-wise, folks. So let's move on to
It's pretty quiet.
Yeah,
now.
It's pretty quiet. I mean, hey.
High pressure's not much going on.
Yeah, and I can't complain. I mean, as much as I like active weather, we had a pretty active start to the month, so I'm happy to see people so happy the second half of the month.
We're kind of scraping by for material.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we do have some material topic-wise. Over the weekend, I guess you could call him a pretty major force in meteorology passed away. Talk a little bit about the life of Bill Gray, who passed away at the age of 86.
Bill Gray was one of the original hurricane researchers that his work became very influential. In fact, his most famous works were pretty much looking at how hurricanes can be a global feature. Looking at sea surface temperatures and wind shear, for example, and how that interacts with the global environment that produces hurricanes. Typically, you need ocean temperatures about 80 degrees Fahrenheit or very little wind shear. So if you have those two conditions, you pretty much have favorable conditions for hurricanes, which, by the way, if we do have a La Nina type summer that we're looking more and more likely, more hurricanes.
More active year.
And
we've had a couple of
US,
quiet years the past few years.
We'll see what happens. We kind of maybe let our guard down a little bit. We'll see what happens. But anyway, getting back to Bill Gray, is that he then became a professor at Colorado State, where he was there for, years.
Long
I
time.
don't know exactly how long, but he retired in the mid-'90s and became emeritus and still produced his hurricane forecasts. If any of you are weather enthusiasts from back in like the 80s, 90s,
I remember
even
the name.
the early 2000s, every summer he would put out his
Bill Gray's own forecast
for how many hurricanes would actually be used. And
he was pretty accurate as far as I remember.
Yes, he was fairly accurate at that time. And he became pretty synonymous in that term. And then he became kind of this larger figure in terms of hurricane and tropical meteorology. And later on in life, though, he started to criticize a little bit more regarding the weather models and climate models themselves, thinking that the amount of atmospheric moisture in the models was overdone, and that resulted in warmer temperatures. So essentially, I wouldn't criticize him as a global climate change skeptic, but he started to err more toward this kind of gray area of whether he's a climate scientist that's advocating for anthropogenic climate change, or if it's more of natural variability, and we just simply don't have enough of that information. That leads me to the story that I have with Bill Gray. In 2010, the American Meteorological Society Tropical Meteorology and Climate Conference was in Tucson, Arizona. Tucson, hurricanes.
Oh, yeah.
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, exactly.
But we were in the same session.
Yeah.
And he was doing a paper talk on what exactly was going on with the atmospheric moisture models.
Right.
And I was doing a side project that I was working on with temperature variability between years to years in global warming. And he spoke before me, and he got up there and was pretty much saying things like global warming is a hoax.
Really?
The textbooks of America are brainwashing people into thinking climate change is happening, and it's an abomination. He started pounding his fist on the podium, and I, as the young fledgling scientist here, see this room, and there's like 200, 300 people in this room.
Right.
And they're just, I could see the anger just
faces,
building
yeah.
amongst the scientists out there who thinks Bill Gray's pretty much
losing it.
for lack of a better term. And he gets done, and I go up there and I talk. And so I was actually in a session with Bill Gray.
Wow.
And it was a very,
little
I guess,
tense.
emotional, perhaps tense,
A little tense, yeah.
session. But it was an honor, though, to be on a session
Yeah.
with such a very prestigious atmospheric scientist.
Did you talk to him personally at all, or
I
not?
talked to him a little bit beforehand. I
Okay.
was just like, "Hi, I'm Michael Davis." And
Right.
he said, "I'm Bill Gray," but that was about it. And
Now,
then afterwards, I was a little bit skeptical to go approach him.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure that after that speech that he gave, there was all kinds of theories as to what prompted him to do that. But obviously, that 97%, 98%, whatever the figure is, of scientists believe that climate change is a real thing and it is not a hoax. What do you think Mr. Gray's motives were for kind of being like the renegade scientist with that particular issue?
I think he was more toward questioning the models themselves,
Just like
and
maybe not so much
legitimacy
a
of
straight
them.
skeptic, just like an agnostic of
Yeah, I don't think he was just out there to
bash
simply
everything. Yeah,
rock the boat, more or less. But he was there more saying that we need to look at these models more closely and
Gotcha.
make sure that
Well, that
the
makes sense. Yeah.
features are actually there.
Right.
So I don't really consider him a climate skeptic, but he was definitely
Questioning things.
questioning. But in science, that's good because you
Yeah.
need some type of skepticism and questioning of established
Sure.
principles in order for progress to go forward.
Right.
So I do appreciate Bill Gray's stance, and he will be missed in the scientific community.
Oh, absolutely.
But sometimes he was just a little edgy. He
was an interesting character.
Yes, he was definitely an interesting character.
Interesting character. Well, rest in peace to Bill Gray. He's now off to whatever you believe, the big weather forecasting in the sky, and we'll see from there. But that's definitely a memorable experience there, and we've lost a number of meteorologists. It was a number of years ago that. It was about 4 or 5 years ago that the Weather Channel lost their big hurricane expert. Remember, what was his name? Bill Hope or
John Hope.
John Hope. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was several years before that. Actually, I think it was around
2008, maybe.
2008. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was there for a while too.
Yeah, a long time.
And he was their hurricane expert, at least since I started.
Oh
there,
yeah, I remember when
watching
I
Weather Channel.
when
That
I was a kid. Yeah, when
early '90s.
Oh yeah, when I was I still remember. It's funny how things stick in your head. I still remember Hurricane Andrew plowing into Florida in 1992, and me sitting on my mom and dad's bed because they had a TV in their room. I didn't. They let me stay up late so I could watch the stuff because I was a budding weather geek. And there was John Hope. He was already old at that time, and he was kind of like hunched over, and he's, "Here comes the biggest hurricane I've ever seen." He was a character too.
And I remember
Yeah.
the other time he was doing the local forecast
Yeah.
at the Weather Center at
Yeah.
the time was, and he was doing the Christmas forecast.
Yes.
And Santa Claus came on
Oh,
air
okay.
with John Hope, and he was asking, "So, John, what's the weather going to be like?" And he's like, "Well, you look pretty good on the Eastern Seaboard, Santa."
So definitely some legendary names right there, John Hope and Bill Gray. So rest in peace to them. Of course, John Hope already gone many years, but Bill Gray the latest. So well, we'll see what this summer brings, hurricane wise. Like you said, leaning toward maybe a little more active this summer. After
And we'll see. And
yeah.
when we get closer toward the actual summer,
We'll
and
be able to know
we
better.
start really be focusing on the tropics. We'll be watching them.
Should be interesting. All right, Dr. Davis, I know you've got a class to take care of soon, so we'll let you go. Thank you so much for stopping in again this week, and we'll see you probably again next Monday.
Sounds good.
All right.